Right. So guys, in the last session, we have been I have taken only just a two demo sessions I have been got taken, guys. Even in the even in the two demo sessions also, I have been didn't started any practical. So if anybody has been joined for the today's class, so don't worry about that. Just I have been given some few introduction points, like actually, guys, like why we have to learn Python. Sorry, why we have to learn this Linux or Unix. So what is a necessity? Whenever we already have Windows, we all of you know that actually, guys, Linux is also one of the operating system. Then, sir, why we are already having the Windows or we are having the Mac? So you know that why the Apple is going to be uses their own Mac operating system actually. That is also going to be one of the operating system, guys. Macs also is going to be looks like almost all similar to Linux operating system only. So that is also one advantage actually, guys. So once if you nobody is going to teach us separately Mac session, they don't teach you actually, just like how the Linux classes are taking place. We don't have any Windows classes will not be there actually, guys. Why? Because mostly Windows is going to be GUI based. Nobody is going to learn separately Windows operating system. Why? Because mostly it is going to be GUI based. But why the people prefer to learn Linux separately? Why? Because being it is not an GUI based, which is mostly it is going to be command based only, it is going to works. So to get some practice and to get some understanding, why? Because in Windows, everything is going to be very easy. If you want to run a file, just will double click on the file. Whenever we want to execute any file, we are going to just say double click on the file. Automatically the application is going to start, or the application is going to be executes. But in Linux it is not like that. If you just double click on the file, it does not works actually. So everything we have to work with a command prompt. Everything mostly will work with a command line. That is the reason why people separately learn which is going to be this Linux operating system. So just anyhow, I didn't discuss much about that. So later we'll discuss about just an idea like what is Windows and what is Linux. Just overview only have been given. We didn't went into the internals about that. So Windows is purely, it is going to be GUI based operating system, whereas the Linux is going to be not completely GUI based, not completely command based, but Linux also supports what is Linux, what is Unix, because even some people are having these questions actually, guys. Sir, what is this Linux? Why do you call it as Unix, Linux? Some people call it as which is going to be SolarX, or whether it is Red Hat Linux. Sir, why all these particular names? We'll also study those particular things also later. Once you start with the actual classes, in a couple of classes, we'll see that actually. So in the last two classes, if anybody has missed the last two classes actually, guys, so nothing has been happened. Very small, very basic options only we have been got done. Like which is going to be why we have to learn, why to learn Linux actually, or why to learn a separate operating system. A little bit idea have been given. Why? Because nowadays, like the DevOps engineer, the cloud computing engineers, okay, even the data science people, there are going to be even some kind of like Oracle DBAs. So they are going to be runs internally when you go to the enterprise level. So we have to work completely with the Linux operating system. So basically to learn Linux is not a programming language. So no need to worry about, sir, what are the prerequisite? Do you have to learn any C language? Do you want to learn any C++? Nothing is going to be required actually, guys. So why to learn, which is going to be Linux? And apart from that, who has to learn also, I have been discussed about that. So who to learn this particular Unix or the Linux operating systems? So generally who works basically on DevOps engineering, or even some kind of nowadays Python people. And apart from that, even the big data people, the big data systems that are working Spark or something like that, or even some kind of an DBS like Oracle DBS, and even some kind of a database systems like MySQL. So all these people has to work on the Unix operating systems. Mostly on the Linux operating system, they will be learning. They have to work. That is not a competition. So nobody is going to teach us. For example, if you buy a Mac, if you buy an Apple Mac, if you buy it actually, so operating system is completely different, right? It is not going to be Windows, but it is going to be something like a Mac operating system. It's a little bit different from Windows. So it is not that much comfortable initially, but later onwards, over the time period, people will learn. Nobody, if you try to learn Mac, just like Linux, if anybody teaches Mac, nobody is going to teach us the Mac operating system separately. It is almost all, we can learn it easily. Anybody can learn it almost all easily. But Unix is a little bit different actually, guys. That's the reason why some guidance is going to be required. Somebody has to help you to learn it. That's it. Somebody has to learn it. You can also learn from a lot of nowadays online resources or online we are having, but mainly confusion. So some people says Ubuntu, some people says that it is going to be CentOS, somebody says that it is going to be Red Hat Linux. So why these particular names? Why, what are all these particular names? A lot of confusion is going to be gets coming to most of you actually. So that is the reason. So just a quickly, it won't take that much time also, guys. It won't take that much time also. Hardly it is going to be 30 to 40 days maximum it will take it actually, guys. So 30-40 days, 32 just a hardly 45 days, 30 to 40 days exactly, guys. Not more than that, it won't take it. Every day it is going to be 1 hour class. Okay, being it is an initial classes, I'm starting a little bit lately, but it is hardly, it is daily, it is going to be 1 hour, exactly 1 hour class actually, guys. 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. is your class timing. So hardly you will be having at least minimum to minimum, you will be having 55 minutes, or even sometimes I'll extend also. Hardly it is from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. 9, 5, 9, 10, maybe sometimes it may happens. Hardly 50 minutes to 60 minutes class will be there every day, 6 days a week. And it is going to be 30 to 40 days. No prerequisites. Sir, do you require any prerequisites for this? Nothing prerequisite is required actually, guys. So there is no going to be prerequisites are going to be, nothing is going to be required. Anybody can learn this. It is not a programming language. First of all, it is not a programming language. Why? Because we know that Linux is going to be just, it is going to be one of the system software, which we are going to call it as, I'll tell you what is going to be system software, what is going to be an application software or system programming, and what is going to be application programming. We don't write any business logics. We don't write any business implementations, nothing. It is a purely an operating system. So you may have the idea without operating system, you know that if you don't have a Windows in your system, what we can do? Nothing you can do with your system, isn't it? You can also have a DOS operating system, because we know that some of your laptops, when you are buying, there are going to be says that there are going to be non-Windows. That comes with a DOS operating system. There is an operating system is there, but it is going to be DOS operating system, which is going to be very, it's also going to be like everything is going to be command prompt only. We are going to be gets working. There are old system actually, isn't it? So when you want to buy a laptops, you can buy it. They says that DOS operating system. Generally compare with the Windows operating system, the DOS operating systems are going to be at least little bit less costlier, approximately 3,000 to 4,000 difference will be there. Why? Because if you want to work with Windows, we have to pay some licensing. The company has to pay some license for that particular utilization of the operating system. So as I explained you in the last class, if anybody has been missed, nothing happened actually. Just why we have to learn Unix? Why? Because nowadays, so many advanced level applications, like even the data science people, the data science, because I was a data science expert. Why I use as Unix is because I was into the data science. I was not a Linux professional. I was not a Linux professional by profession it is. I use as the Linux mostly for basically for to work with the data science and all the related operations I'm going to be using. So I'm going to be using some cloud services I will use this. There I'm going to use some part of which is going to be the Linux I'll use this. I'm going to be using something like an Dockers, even while I want to work with the Docker. So I will be working a little bit idea about the Linux. I was not a completely a Linux expert here now, but I know because I works with a little bit concepts of Linux. So I can handle, I can just deliver, I can explain you like how the Linux is going to be gets used. I may not use them, but I know, I clearly know about that. Well, because from starting from 2014, I started working on big data systems. Specifically, I use as the Linux basically for big data systems. I'm going to be users. Mostly, I'll use as the big data Hadoop. I'm going to be using the Spark. Basically, for these kind of an applications, I will be using. I don't use Linux directly, actually, guys. My My complete expertise is different actually. I works on data science, Spark. I am going to use something called as an Databricks. But if I want to work with the Databricks, I have to be having a little bit idea about the, which is going to be a little bit idea about the Linux operating system is required. I use this. I may not use it completely an enterprise level, but I know how to use this, all these particular basic applications and all these things, so I can tell you. Okay. So anyhow, why we have to learn Unix and who has to learn the Unix, I told you. So who has to be works on Unix admin. So you can find the jobs on Unix admin levels. So who want to becomes an Unix admin? So because just like how the Windows admins are required, Unix admins are also required by the enterprises. So whatever we are learning is going to be not a completely admin level. I don't say that after completion of this course, you can become a Linux admin. Linux admins are going to be somewhat different actually. They are a little bit higher level. Like they knows how to take the backups of the files, backups of the directories. I'll also show you up to some extent, but their roles are going to be a different networking, communication, all these are going to be gets done. I also show you some basic networking commands, a basic communication commands, a little bit idea about admin, not a complete higher level admin courses. Admin courses are different. They use some kind of a different servers, all these things they will be uses. So like who want to become any Unix admin and who are working on different types of the different types of applications or programming languages. Nowadays, they want to use this particular Linux or the Unix operating system. So sometimes I may say Unix, sometimes I say Linux, does not matter, Unix or Linux, whatever it may be. And apart from that, who has to learn? I told you, like DevOps engineering people, big data people, data science people, Python and R developers, even Java people also works on sometimes they will works on the Linux operating system. Almost all nowadays, almost all every programming language and whatever the frameworks that has been latestly that is coming into the market, they mostly works on this particular. Why? Because also mostly the introduction of the cloud computing. So in real applications, they will be using a lot of clusters that are using actually. So nowadays, I think you may hear about these clusters. Mostly in the cloud computing, you will see these clusters actually. Even the people who works on big data, they talks about which is going to be clusters. So all these clusters are going to be mostly, they will works only on the Unix or the Linux operating systems only, but not on the Windows operating systems. They don't work on the Windows operating system. Mostly there are going to be works mostly on the, which is going to be not mostly, they will works only on the, which is going to be either the Linux or only on the Unix operating systems only they will works. That's why the people who works towards that, they should be having at least some minimum knowledge of, even now, you also know it now guys, at least some Windows level operations are required actually. So we don't use any commands. If you want to cut, copy, paste, move, okay, delete, how to create a new file, how to set up some networking configurations. We know that how to set up some networking configurations, how to configure your drivers. Sometimes if any driver, if sound driver was missing, you know how to configure the sound drivers actually. So we'll go to the device settings, isn't it? For example, we have been installed some new device. So whenever we have been install a new device, so let us say that the drivers are not working. So when drivers are not working, you know that how to set up the drivers. So you know it is going to be go to the properties of your my computer, and there you will be having something called as device manager will be there. So simply click on the device manager and we are going to do that. It is completely like an GUI based. We don't require any commands or don't require it actually. But in Linux and Unix operating systems, it is not like that. Everything we have to do it by using command prompts. Everything command line operations only we have to do that. But it is not going to be done something like that. So do you want to do some network configurations, network adapters we want to configure? You will just go there and you are going to configure it. But in the Linux operating systems, we can't do like that actually. That's why at least some basic, if you want to work with the Linux operating systems, we should be having a little bit ideas about that. Okay. So that is the reason why we have to require some, nobody is going to teach us. For Windows, nobody require. You can simply right click on that, double click on that, we'll get the settings. So do you want to set up the audio drivers? So do you want to add any devices? We do it actually, GUI based. Windows automatically detects. For example, if you see, I'm using this pen tablet. So you have seen it now. So I'm using this pen tablet actually. I'm using a separate device. I'm using a separate device actually. It is going to be my pen tablet. I'm going to be using this actually. So whenever I connect this into my system, immediately my Windows will automatically detect that there is a new device was there, and there is going to be some drivers automatically gets installed. You know what is the drivers? Drivers are nothing but the system programs only. We are going to do it by using system programming only. We are going to do it actually. So whenever I connected, automatically it is going to be done actually. So, but whenever you do with the same application in Linux, it is not going to be gets connected. So I use as this pen tablet. I'll use as a device called as an Wacom because you know the problem actually. I have seen so many technology wise because I works at a little bit higher level. So if you want, most of the people I have seen, like they will open a notepad. They will open a notepad. They will type something like this. So for example, if I said which is going to be, I can type something like this. So Unix or which is going to be, I said which is going to be Linux. So anyhow, I'm using a keyboard, an external keyboard I'm using. That's why you may not get a noise. But sometimes when you see some classes, I've seen some classes. So like what will happen here is they will say that everything they type it. So they say that which is going to be Linux or Unix is going to be, it is an operating system. But you may hear because there is a little bit noise will come when I press a keyboard. When I press the key, you may have some kind of a noise will come actually. Anyhow, I'm using a little bit noise cancellation headphones will be there. So you may not get any disturbance, but it is going to be. But and one more thing is, so whenever I want to explain some architecture, whenever they want to explain some architecture, so they will open MS Paint. They'll open the MS Paint, they will open it. They'll use some kind of pen, which is going to be the uses. Like they will draw some like this. You can draw it. I'm using the mouse here now. I'm using the mouse actually. So what is I want to explain the Linux architectures. So they will draw some kind of a boxes. But if I use my pen tablet, it is very convenient for me. I can write it. I'm using a pen tablet now. Freehand, completely by a freehand, I can type it actually. So nothing. So the further only I'm going to be using, I don't use this MS Paint, but I'm going to be using this particular, the OneNote notebook. I'm going to be using it actually. This one, freehand, completely it is going to be freehand writing. So it looks like just like you're sitting in a class, except you can't see me. If you want, I can open, I can start with my webcam also. But if I have a webcam, if I on my webcam, you may get disturbance with that actually, because sometimes it flashes, some icons will come extra on the left hand side. That's why I don't prefer to do that, but sometimes I'll open, so no worries about that. So this one actually, guys. So this is going to be one of the reason why we are talking about why we have to learn the Unix operating systems. So it's not that you want to become a Linux expert or if you want to become an Unix expert, but whenever we want to work with some other softwares, being they will be working mostly on the Linux operating system, nowadays, it has became a common thing to learn to work with this particular Linux operating systems. So I'll tell my experience actually, guys. I have a lot of experience, 20 years of experience was there. 20 years, 22 years experience, almost all 20 years. So actually, I'll tell you like how I have been my interest with the Linux and Unix also. So initially, that means at that time when I talk about them in nowadays, if we are doing the engineering courses nowadays as part of an engineering course, minimum everybody has to learn C language. In the first year, if we have been from engineering background, independent of whether you are a computer science or whether you are from IT professional, anybody, it is going to be the C language is common language. We have to do that. Previously, that means when we are in engineering, whenever we are in engineering, at the time, actually, we have C language. We have the C language. But as part of our academic course, we used to learn a language. We have to learn a language called as, which is going to be Fortran is a language what we used to use it actually, guys. The name of the language is going to be the Fortran, which is going to be what there is going to be. It's basically for scientific computing, mostly for mathematical operations. We used to use it actually, guys. The name of the language is Fortran. So, which is basically some kind of a language called as an which is going to be formula translation. It's very long back ago we have been got studied. Now nobody is using it, but somewhere it is using it actually, guys. Somewhere, some in some research programming and all these things, there are going to be using this Fortran language. It is going to be using, which basically stands for formula translation. It is going to be gets using it actually. Actually, at the time only, we used to learn C language in not in the colleges. We used to learn the C languages in. We have to go to some institutes and we used to learn it actually. So at that time, I found it. I have been searching for various institutes. I have found it only one institute it was found. Actually, it was there in Visakhapatnam. Actually, because I was from Visakhapatnam basically. So I have searched so many institutes. We call it as Vizag, Visakhapatnam. So at that time, there is only one institute is there. I didn't remember the name. It is 2024, 2 years back. So that is the only one institute which is to teach the C and C++ on completely on Unix operating system. At that time, it's a 20 years back. This it's an 20 years back. You can just imagine that 20, 21 years, 22 years back. So it is going to be the only one institute which used to teach the C language only on which is going to be the Linux operating system. So we know that how maybe nowadays also the C environment has been changed. At the time, we used to use a language called as a turbo C. Actually, the C is going to be turbo C. So we'll open the turbo C, a separate environment will come, and we used to do that. But Linux systems are not like that. Linux systems are not like that actually. They are completely different. So we have a different types of editors will be there. So we used to use something called as an VA editors. So actually at that time only 22 years back only. So I have been completely hands-on that particular Unix operating system. But after that, I moved to this other. At the time, I only for academic purpose only. I have been learning it actually, not for any job purpose. After that, I moved to like Oracle database, and after that, I moved to all the business intelligence, Microsoft databases, MySQL. So at that time, again, I stopped using the Linux operating systems. After that, again from 2014, I came to big data systems. So from then onwards, almost all from the last 10 years, I'm using the Linux operating systems. Why? Because after big data, I was into the data science and all these things also. So I was having again, after almost all 14 years after that, again, we have been again came back to this one actually. So at the time, we used to do the complete C programming only in the Linux operating system. Normally, any institute, even if you learn C language from any institute also, they teach us mostly on the Windows only, but not on the Linux systems. So at that time only, we used to learn, they used to teach some basic Linux commands, Unix. It's not even Linux also at that time. It is not even Linux also. It is completely Unix. We used to work no GUI based. No GUI based. You have to open the computer. Only the command prompt will come. Just they will be login user and password will be there. Just log in and this one. And you have to go to your folder and you have to work with them. Completely with VA editors only we used to work with that. That is the reason still nowadays, still as of now, I use VA editors very easily. As of now, the latest generation people, VA editors, they don't use this. They don't use the VA editors. I'll tell you what is the problem with the VA editors, but it's not that much convenient. But being I have been working with the VA editors at that time, so still I'll use the VA editors nowadays. Still I'm going to use the VA editors. Mostly the shell scripting, I'll write everything by using VA editors only. I'll be using it actually. So that is the one thing which we are going to be talking about that. Okay. So that is the idea of how we are going to be working with them. And that is the basically we are going to be using it actually. Anyhow, we'll see that particular applications later where we are going to be working with them. Okay. So anyhow, just for the today's class, I just want to give a plan like what we are going to be learning as part of our course curriculum. Just a little bit idea we are going to be giving it actually, just so that you can get some idea about what is our course curriculum and how we are going to be learning it actually, what we are going to be learning. So first we are going to start with just a 10 minutes. I'll give a quick application and almost all from tomorrow onwards, we'll start with the basic practicals actually, guys. Okay. So first we are going to start with some of the basics actually, guys. Some of the basics we are going to start with that. Like everything, we are going to start with something like what is hardware versus what is software versus hardware actually. Okay. So what are the different types of, I'm not writing the complete details actually, just overview I'm talking about actually, guys. So what is hardware, what is software? Again, in software, we are having something called as, which is going to be a system software, and where we are going to be having the application softwares or system programming or application programming. And after that, how to set up, which is going to be the Linux environment. Okay, what is Linux? What is Unix? What is Linux? Okay, what are the flavors of Linux? What are the different flavors of Unix? All these things, we'll see that. And we'll also see the setup, which is going to be the basic setup of the operating system. So setup of, I'll tell you, either I'll use Linux, I'm going to be using Ubuntu, or either by using the CentOS. So setup of the Linux environment actually. Setup of Linux environment. Ubuntu and the CentOS are the basically the flavors of which is the Linux operating systems. I'll tell you what are going to be flavors and all these things we discuss about. So setting up the Linux environment, what we are going to be doing, just Linux installation, user creation, some basic which is going to be. And one of the important thing is going to be, we have to understand what is going to be the Linux architecture. So what is your architecture? It's not a very huge architecture, guys, a very simple architecture only. There will be something like kernels. We'll see them, like what is going to be all these things, and all these things we'll understand it. And after that, we are going to be, first we have to understand what is going to be the understanding the, what is going to be the file. That means how the files or how the folder architectures, or what we are going to call it as, how that particular understanding the folders in Linux actually. We have different folders will be there. We have something like a bin, etc, user. We have so many folders will be there actually. First, we have to understand that particular folders. Normally, we all of you know the folders. Normally, a collection of which is going to be files and all these things. To manage multiple files and multiple folders, we'll use as the Linux actually. But here we are going to be using a different folders. We are going to be gets users actually. So what is that particular folders and all these things we'll discuss about. So that is a basic architecture, guys. Just hardly maybe 1 week just to understand the architectures, all these things. Just it will take almost 1 week of time. It will take it. Then I'm going to start with, which is going to be some of the basic user level commands. We are going to start with them actually, guys. Basic user level commands. Really very interesting actually, guys. Very interesting. A very interesting commands will be there. Generally, we don't do it in Windows actually. So this is my one of my Linux setup. Don't worry. Just I'm going to show you the application actually, guys. Just to show the application. So don't worry. Very interesting topics actually, guys. So which is going to be calendar. So calendar is going to tell you. So what is this particular month's calendar? It is going to tell you. So like this actually, guys. So which is going to be the one what we can see, which is going to be the value. So I given a mistake now, guys. 20,000 we have been given. So I have to give which is going to be 2023. There are multiple options are there actually, guys. We have a multiple options we are going to be having it actually. So anyhow, just see. They are not any programming commands actually, guys. Just a small interesting commands actually. A small interesting commands what we are going to be gets talking about that. Okay. So what so many things are there. So just I can ask, see, which is going to be who am I? So currently it is saying that you are a root user. So something like this, we are going to be having a kind of an application actually, guys. What is your operating system name? Which is going to be nothing but your Linux. It is Linux only, guys. I'm using CentOS, which is one of the flavor of Linux operating system. So uname, which is going to be Linux. These are all going to be some of the basic commands we are going to be gets working with them actually, guys. So these are going to be some of the basic commands which we are going to be gets working with that actually. Just don't worry. We can see that date, which is going to tells you Monday, which is going to be June 26th. Which is going to be 8:47, 37 minutes. So IST, which is going to be 2023. It is telling about that. So don't think that we are going to learn some programming language or we are going to be doing this. So coming to the basic user level commands, all these are the basic commands actually, guys. Like which is going to be date, and which is going to be calendar related operations. Okay. Something like I want to see the list of commands, which is going to be ls and its options, what we are going to work. So many things, how to create your directories, how to create the files. And even I told some kind of an editors, all these things we are going to, I didn't written all of them actually, guys. There are so many commands are there. I just given some list of commands only. So first week, almost all we are going to learn the basic architecture, and almost all second week, guys, very simple. Even I don't teach all of them actually, guys. Why? Because, for example, there is an ls command is there actually, guys. Just an example. There is an ls command is there. What is that ls command is going to be nothing but it displays all the files and folders, simply like directory ls. But in ls, what is the difference, or why some of them are coming in black color? Why some of them are going to be coming in red color and some of them are coming in the blue color? Their blue colors are nothing but folders. Blue colors are nothing but the folders actually, guys. Okay. So anyhow, I'll tell you like what is a black color. They are the files actually. So there are so many options are there. ls, which is going to be -l, a complete long listing will be there. Do you want to have a short listing? You can see something like this actually. So there are different options will be there. So I'll tell you the command. Some of the main important options I'm going to tell you. Now you can see this is going to be all the different options. -a, all the files. Capital A, almost all. Who is the author? Along with the author, it is going to print it actually, guys. -b, block size. -b, -c, capital case. So many options are there actually, guys. So many options are there. See, which is going to be so many options are going to be there actually. So what are all these particular options? So you can see -l is there. Use a long listing, which is going to be format. -m, fill with a comma separated list of entries. Isn't it? What is going to be -q? What is going to be something -q is there. So all these are going to be -r, which is going to be reverse. -s, which is going to be size. It is going to be sort by the file size. All these are going to be different options are there, but nobody can by heart all these options actually, guys. Why? Because there are going to be so many options we are going to be having it actually. So many options what we are going to be having. So which is going to be -1, list one file per line, -x, sort alphabetically by entry extension, hyphen, which is going to be t is there, sort per modification time, etc. What we are going to be talking about. So ls, which is going to be -t, it is going to be ls, which is going to be -lt, hyphen, which is going to be l and t. Both of them I have been used. Long listing as well as which is going to be according to the time it is going to be doing it actually. So June 23rd, June 21st, June 21st. You can see there are going to be in the reverse order. April 21st, April 24th, July 30th, July 31st, something. You can see that particular date actually. We'll see them. No worries about that. We'll see that particular applications. So something like that, you can have the option. So I'll tell you, learning all these things are very easy. I'll tell you the main command, remaining options and all these things, we can learn it by yourself whenever we work with that applications actually. Okay. And not only this, some of the important commands called as, which is one of the important actually, guys, which is going to be what we are going to call it as a grep command. Some of the important options I'm telling about, which is going to be grep commands, which is going to be something like an filter options, how to filter the files and all these things. Word count programs, like how to count how many words are there. Very easy actually, guys. We can easily count how many words are there in a file. Very easily we can do it actually. Okay, so even permissions and all these things we are going to see basically working with some kind of an user level commands. Hardly it will take another 1 week to 10 days. It will take it actually, guys. Okay, and after that we are going to see some part of which is going to be not completely advanced level, guys, but there are going to be some kind of an admin level commands. What we are going to see that actually some admin level commands. So I'll show you how to work with the cloud, because I clearly work with the cloud. Okay, and apart from that, we are also going to see it actually, guys, at different types of job scheduling, cron jobs, cron tabs, what we are going to call it as a job scheduling, some kind of an admin level operations, like what is going to be .bash RC files. Okay, all these are going to be some kind of an applications. Like we have it actually, guys, how to set up the system paths and how to set up the user paths and all these things. We are going to see them actually. So all these things, even some kind of a networking commands, communication commands, how to set the how to send the messages from one terminal to another terminal. So communications, user grouping and all these things, how to create it, FTPs. So all these things we are going to be working with some kind of an admin level operations. We'll see them actually. Okay. And finally, we are going to be having, which is what we are going to call it as the shell scripting actually. That will also take somewhere around 10 days. It will take it, guys. Here, you can explore as much you can explore it actually. As much programmings we can write it actually, guys. But if you want to have the shell scripting, obviously you should be knowing completely a complete hands-on the basic user level commands. If you want to admin level commands also, if you have having a good hands-on, then learning this shell scripting is very, very easy. Why? Because shell scripting means we don't write any programs. We don't write any programs actually, guys. It's one of the very interesting concept is we will create our own commands. We will create our own commands with the help of the shell scripting. So just like whenever I said ls, which is going to be -l, how it is listing the files, I'll create my own set of commands, what I'm going to be doing it actually. So understanding all that particular architectures. So if you just show you, like, why do you require all these particular folders? Like, for example, if I said cd, which is going to be some of the very shortcuts will be there. So why we are using it actually? So these are all some basic commands actually, guys. Directories. So we'll see about each and every folder. Why do you require that app folder? Why do you require the bin folder? What is the bin folder contains? What is the bin folder contains? All your commands will be there in the bin command only. These are all your commands only, guys. ls is your command. mkdir is a directory. It is going to be a command. All these are your commands only, guys. All of them is going to be nothing but commands. I told you now, which is going to be grep we are going to be using. So the grep is going to be one command actually. Even egrep, fgrep, we have a different options will be there. So even that also we are going to be using it actually, guys. Egrep is there, which is going to be fgrep, and one more is also there actually, guys. I think tgrep. We have the commands actually. Okay, no worries about that. We'll see that actually. So grep is going to be there, fgrep is there, egrep is going to be there, and we have one more grep is also there. So these are all commands only, guys. These are all going to be commands. What is this mv? What is this nano? Which is going to be, we'll see that kind of an applications actually. rm directory. All these are the commands. I told you, VA editors will be there. We are going to be having a VA editor. This is my own script actually. It is my script, my shell scripting, what we have been got written. So cat, which is going to be third dot, which is going to be sh. So what it is going to do is actually, guys, it is going to take an input from you, and it is going to tell you whether the given number is a even or odd. Simply if I said third, it will ask you. Actually, third dot sh, we kept it right. Just a minute. Okay, don't worry. Just we can work with them. Does not matter. It is going to be, which is going to, I think, okay, not third, which is going to be third dot, which is going to be sh. So it will ask you enter a number 10. It is an even number, which is going to be third dot, which is going to be sh. It is going to be nothing but I said 11, which is, it is my script actually, guys. You can work from anywhere. You can work from anywhere. So I made my own command actually. So what it is going to do is it will take some input from you, and it tells you whether it is going to be. It's a shell script actually, guys. Just you see, which is going to be, this is the whatever the shell script we have been got written. Not a complicated one. Just a read command is there. If statement is there, echo is a command. Remaining things are the same actually. If end of the if is going to be fi if. Case is there. End of the case is going to be reverse of case will be there. We'll see them how to write it actually. It's very easy. Just like how do you write a handwritten, same like this only we are going to be writing the shell scripts. We'll write it actually, guys. Okay. So in shell scripts also we are going to be doing, guys, almost all every day to day we are going to learn at least 3-4 programs per day, guys. At least we are going to write 3 to 4 programs per day. So if you write like this, almost all 30 to 40 programs we have to write. So hardly, yes, guys, it will take somewhere around 10 days. That is mostly whatever the time taking process it will be there. So like how to do the file processing, how to do the, which is going to be data processings we are going to do. And apart from that, some kind of an operation. So like if and else if statements, conditional and control statement, how to write it actually, if, while, for, case. And even one of the important is also how to create your own functions. And even I'll show you some kind of an applications like how we use this actually, guys. So connecting to a database, system actually, how to connect from a database system. So I'll use as a simple database called as an MySQL. I don't teach you database, but we'll set up install some softwares, how to install the MySQL database in your system, and how to connect to the MySQL system. We can connect it actually. Okay, so some of the things like in reality where we use this, so how to work with them. So how I work with Python, how I'm going to launch my Jupyter notebooks, and how I'm going to be working. So what exactly we are going to be using in the Linux operating systems, I'll show you those particular practical applications. I'll show you guys. Okay, so basics is almost all maybe somewhere around 7 days, guys, 1 week of time. Okay, it is going to be almost all, it is going to be 1 week of time. And basic user level comments, it may take somewhere around, which is going to be 10 days of time, guys. And admin level is also going to take almost all 1 week. It is going to be 1 week to hardly, guys, 7 to 8 days, I can say that. And another shell scripting also will try to finish off as much as possible. We do it actually, guys. So here it is 10 days, here it is 20 days, and here it is going to be another 1 week, and here it is going to be another 10 days of time. If you see, almost all 30 days, 37, 40, 45 days, it will take it actually, guys. Okay, so this is going to be all about our application, what we can talk about them, guys. Okay, so this is what about our overall course curriculum. I didn't started anything here. This is my overall, whatever the commands, what we are going to be doing. So tomorrow I'm going to start with some basic operations like what is hardware and software, what are the different flavors of operating systems, and how to set up the environment, how the main system configurations are required, and we do that particular application, guys. Okay, so that's it for the today's class, guys. And just for today, I'll stop it here, and we'll continue in the tomorrow's class. Anybody, guys, any questions if you have?
So are you discussing any use case for using Unix to connect with Hadoop things?
Yeah, if you want, I can. It's not a connecting actually. Hadoop is a different file system actually. So same Hadoop, it's a file system actually. So we are going to be using that. As I told you, I can show you my work environment, like how I connect with the database, Python, Linux system, big data systems if you require. It's nothing is there. To work with the Hadoop, I have to require some Linux commands actually. So I'll just show you one idea about that. We don't connect it, but we are going to see like how we are going to work with the Hadoop applications. Just an idea, which is going to help you to understand why we are learning about the Hadoop commands, why we are learning Linux commands, because working with Hadoop is completely working with the Linux commands only. Same commands will be there. Only thing is a different file system, what we are going to be using it actually there.
Oh,
okay, fine, guys. That's it, guys. That's it for the today's class. So we'll connect tomorrow. Yeah, hello. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes,
yes. Sir, actually, sir, I want to know about what is the difference between Linux administrator and this course. Means Linux and
it's a basic. It's like what we can say that is it's a basic Linux what we are learning it actually. If you go to admin level, there are going to be some more and more advanced level applications will be there. So I'll teach you some basic networking commands. But when you go to the admin level, a higher level networking, like we know that now in Windows networking levels, how the people will work. So like taking off tapes, drives, how to mount the devices. That is a little bit a higher level. The higher level admin is going to be gets required. Whatever we are learning is going to be some basic level of the basic Linux. As a basic Linux user, how much it is required. That is going to be what we are going to be doing it actually.
Okay. So, sir, where we can use this Unix and Linux? Currently, I am work on Oracle production support.
Okay. So obviously, I think you are working on Oracle production means generally most of my knowledge is going to be. I think you are working on support, right? So
yes.
Do you have the access to the servers or don't have the access to the servers basically?
No, I don't have currently I don't have the access of the server. I just working on SQL and PLSQL support role.
Okay. So the basic idea here is the servers are going to be working. Most of the Oracle servers will be working on the Linux environments only.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So how you are connecting to the Oracle actually is using Windows application or using any other?
No. Yes, we can use the tool like Toad and SQL Developer.
Okay, so Toad and all these things, I think so. It is working on the normal Windows application only. It is working actually normal Windows application. But in the high end servers, they will be using a little bit Linux versions. They will be using. So nowadays, see, if you want to, because you're working on a production support, you don't require to work on them. But really, if you're working on, which is going to be on the server side, if you want to go, so you have to require some knowledge of Linux operating systems. So even on Linux also, we can find the jobs, but nowadays you can find out the jobs based on the Linux operating system. Like we have a different roles will be there, like something like an admin jobs or shell scripting developers will be there, but very low profile jobs, what I can say that. But nowadays, as you want to see some of the frameworks, so they're required to work on the Linux operating system. So you may not be working, but if you want to work on the support, like which you want to work on production servers or etc., at least you should be having some knowledge about the Linux operating system is required.
So actually, sir, I taken one course from Azure Data Factory from DURGASOFT also.
ADF.
So,
okay, yeah.
ADF, yes,
obviously. So if you want to work with that ADFs and ADVs also, at least some basic Linux commands are going to be required actually.
Okay.
Isn't it? So we have to know some basic commands. ADF, I was not sure about that, but ADB will be using the Linux operating system, because there we are going to work with the clusters. We are going to work with them. Okay. Fine.
Okay,
guys.
sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for today, guys. We'll meet up in the tomorrow's class, guys.